بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
نستهل عام 2015 بأسبوع BIM نمذجة معلومات المباني، أول أنشطة رابطة خريجي العمارة بجامعة الخرطوم ومنتدى السودان للعمارة لهذا العام. أسبوع BIM والذي سوف يمتد من الرابع إلى 14 من يناير سوف يتضمن ورشتي عمل بالإضافة إلى محاضرات نستهلها بمحاضرة الليلة التنويرية عن BIM، والذي يعد من أدوات صناعة البناء أكثر أهمية في الوقت الحالي، ويعتبر أكثر كفاءة وعملية من الطرق التقليدية في مشاريع البناء. نرحب بالمهندس معاوية السعيد الزائر من الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وعضو الرابطة متخصص في الأمثلة. مهندس معاوية متخرج من كلية العمارة جامعة الخرطوم ببكالوريوس وحاصل على ماجستير إدارة التشييد من جامعة أريزونا.
طبعا اول ما اتخرجت من الجامعه اشتغلت مع الباشمهندس خالد فضل السيد والدكتور محمد يعقوب شداد، وكان لهم الفضل الكبير يعني علي في التجربه العمليه وكذا. الليله بالانجليزي لكن ممكن نعمل ترجمه على الشريط، ممكن نعمل ترجمه فوريه برضه. ف عبير انا حاستعملك كلمه احمد كويس. نحن بنحب جدا نستعمل الكلمات الاكرونيمز واللي عندها يعني 3 حروف ولا 4 حروف، ومرات يعني بتغيب عن الواحد انه يعرفها بالضبط شيء. فكل ما تجي كلمه زي دي وانا ما اعرفها بالله لو سمحتي بس ارفعي الكرت الاحمر كويس. ولبنى انا حستعملها مرات كثيره جدا جدا، انا يعني بطلع برا الموضوع واي دايجريس كمان برضه، فالكرت الاصفر يكون احسن شوي. اوكي. الشباب لانه بصراحه عملوا عمل يعني وشغالين شغل يعني مجهود جبار، والواحد متابع دائما في الفيسبوك ومتابع في يعني نشاطاتهم، فالواحد يديهم يعني يعني تصفيق لمجهوداتهم الجباره، ونشكرهم برضه على الدعوه وكذا. فرصه ظريفه، فرصه جميله جدا جدا. الموضوع الليله في اطار الاسبوع للتعريف عن البيم، ولكن انا اخترت شويه الموضوع يعني باختلاف بسيط، هو making a case for BIM. يعني انا شغال في شركه بتاعت مقاولات، وتعريفنا واستعمالنا للبيم مختلف كويس عن اي استعمالات ثانيه قد يستعملها مصمم او مهندس بتاع استشاري. فده حيعكس يعني بالنسبه لكم حيعكس لكم نحن بنستعمل البيم بيعطي اسلوب وقادرين مستفيدين منه كيف. في نفس الوقت العنوان يمكن يكون شويه صغير، هي it's actually a project delivery for the 21st century. بالنسبه لنا نحن البيم ما هو غير انه اداه او تول بنستعملها في تنفيذ المباني، لكن التول ذاتها يجب انها تكون مرتبطه بالطريقه بتاعت الاداء، يعني الاداء لازم يكون متكامل. فنحن حنتكلم شويه في الدليفري بتاع البروجكتس وانواع البروجكتس وكيف نحن بنستعملها وبنستخدمها. انا هوب ان عندكم كلمات او تعريفات جديده بالنسبه للحضور، لكن حنعرفها بسيط وبعد كده حنشوف الرابط دي وما انتهت لسه. نحن لنا هسه تقريبا قريبه ل 7 يعني من سنه 98 في شغالين بالموضوع بتاع الكيس ستدي. حنخليها للفورم يوم 6 اللي هو بعد بكره. في الغالب ما نتطرق لها الليله. What not to expect. So this is going to be a very high level discussion. يعني حيكون نقاش شويه في مستوى يعني مرتفع، ما حنصل لل okay. But just to set some expectations. And I need some acronym police figure عبير صح؟ timekeeper. مع الحضور شويه معقوله، يعني لو كان الحضور شويه اكبر من كده كنا محتاجين لنا ريزوريز منظمه بس. الباركنج لوت دي دائما لو حصلت اي نقاش جانبي أو شعور أنه ممكن to get into a rabbit hole we can parking lot النقاش ونرجع له في الآخر. البلس دلتا مهمة جدا جدا أنا هشرح لك في النهاية هي يعني الهدف منها شنو. دائما في محاضرات زي دي الواحد بيعرف نفسه يعرف الجهود يوصل للجمهور انه يعرف نفسه. لكن قد ياخذ شويه من الزمن فيمكن نعملها بطريقه شويه مختلفه. فمنو المقاول هنا؟ اوكي. خالد يا اخي ما ترفع يدك. ما في اونرز ولا في ريبريزنتيفز بتاعين يعني ممثلين للزبون ولا كلاينتس ولا كده؟ نعم، اوكي. طيب انا زي ما قال عمر انا يعني زي ما دائما بقول ريكفرد اركيتكت يعني صحيت من السكره بتاعت الاركيتكتشر وشغال مقاول. شغال في شركه دي بي ار كونستراكشن. دي بي ار وعبير ما رفعت الكرت الاحمر. دي بي ار stands for Doug, Peter and Ron. هم الثلاثه المؤسسين ولي دلوقتي 14 سنه. طيب DPR exists to build great things. الفلسفة بتاعتنا شوية مختلفة عن الشركات الأمريكية مش بس بتاعت المقاولات حتى عموما في يعني corporate أمريكا وحتكلم عنها شوية لأنه ده التأثير بتاعها في أنه نحن نختار كيف to deliver projects. ودي مهمة ليه؟ because ده السبب اللي بيخلي الوجود بتاعنا يعني احنا موجودين في السوق بتاع العمل. نحن we exist to deliver great things وما قلنا great buildings. Great things could include great buildings, great relationships, great people, great technology. It encompasses a whole bunch of things. And I challenge every one of you to come up with what's your purpose in life? Okay, why do you exist? As a company or as a person even, and try to come up with the reason for your existence. Our core values, we live and breathe integrity, enjoyment. This is big at DPR. We love to have fun. We love to enjoy ourselves. We're a very unique company, and we're an ever forward-looking company. We always look to change. We look to change things sometimes just because of change itself. We'll talk about why are we unique. This is our management team. As a company, we're a flat organization. And what does that mean? We do not have, we don't have a CEO, we don't have a director, we don't have even titles on our business cards. Our business cards just say our names, email addresses, and contact information. And we're managed by this group of 7 people. They make up our management committee, so no VPs whatsoever. Our offices are managed by regional managers, and everybody is equal. So this is a true flat organization. And I'm not sure who teaches, organizational management في سنة 4th year. At my time, Dr. Muhammad Yaqub Shaddad actually taught us. And when he spoke about a flat organization, it was kind of a unique foreign concept. So we are a true flat organization, no hierarchy, no pyramid. Nobody sits at the top of the pyramid. I've got a short video here to run, just to wish everybody, Happy New Year. This is a video that was sent to all of our clients, our customers, our subcontractors, and the community at large. It also talks about how we operate as a company, as well as some of the topics that we're going to touch on today. Oops. This is my favorite. We're number 10. The best companies to work for. Google is number 1. We're number 10. We're the only general contractor in the list. We started back in 1990 with 0 revenue. Today we do close to $3 billion in revenue. We've got 18 offices across the US and 1,500 employees and about 1,400 craft employees out on site. We do drywall, concrete, door frames and hardware and ceilings. We're an employee-owned company. And this is very important. And so an employee-owned company Nobody owned, it's basically the employees who owns the company. The three founders, Doug, Peter, and Ron, built the company and gave it back to the employees. And by this, how the company is made up, by age 60, they have to sell their shares back to the company. And by age 65, they own nothing of the company. So does that make sense? So this is like not socialism, this is more like communism, where even the company is owned by just the employees. We specialize in 4 market sectors. We do advanced technology, corporate office buildings, higher education, healthcare, and life sciences. Healthcare is my specialty. That's what I do at DPR. These are just samples. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. Some of our buildings. This is a data center for eBay. This is our corporate office building in Phoenix. This was the largest net zero office building in the world, so we produce as much energy as we consume. There's another building now that surpassed us, so we're the second, since I would say last maybe January. This is a very sophisticated building where all of the windows are controlled by the building management system. This is Arizona State University College of Nursing. This is a sample of our educational office building. This is a cancer center. The Life Sciences Research Center. And our mission in life, obviously the company was set up in 1990. Our mission in life is to be one of the most admired companies by 2030. Back in 1990, 2030 was a lot farther than it is today. So we're almost getting there. Start. Okay. Started back in 1990. Very young company, developing. Between 2000 and 2010, this is when we started putting some discipline in place. We live right now in a decade of transformation, and then to 2030, we will be in a growth mode. Between 2020 and 2030, and hopefully we get to change, the world at some point in time. We live by these. This is our Bible, basically, how we became a company and all of our philosophies. I've got these books. We'll leave them at the library, at the university. I don't know, how many of you are familiar with Jim Collins? Okay. He's a great business professor. He wrote several books. These are 3 that we really live by. Built to last, good to great, and great by choice. Just one sentence about this one here. He says, good is the enemy of great. And so if we don't seek greatness in life and business, we will settle for good. And good is not always good enough. So we have to push ourselves to achieve greatness. All right, so enough about DPR. Now talking about Lean, IPD, and BIM. So to get the benefit of BIM as a tool, we sit today in the intersection of Lean, BIM, and IPD, as practices. BIM is the tool, Lean is the process, and IPD is the people component of how we're able to achieve or get the benefit of BIM. So what's Lean? I'm sure some of you may have, I think I know only Brian and Khalid who went to Japan. Maybe others have went to Japan. Toyota has championed the Lean practice in manufacturing. So we've adopted a lot of Toyota practices in construction. Just from a Lean perspective, it focuses on elimination of waste and how we deliver projects today. The classic or traditional way of project delivery has a lot of waste. And so identifying the waste, mapping the benefit to the owner, and striving to perfection is what we practice today. These are somewhat the steps, textbook steps. This is from the Lean Manufacturing Institute. I'll talk later about the mass planner system and maybe the target, prospect system. And they're integral to how we use BIM. So for those of you today who are coming in thinking this is a technology session, this is not a technology session. This is a philosophical session. conceptual session to set the stage for how do you use technology. These are the different types of waste. Maybe, concentrate on a few of them. Overproduction, I think, is classic in construction. You have a lot of job site that's a large job site. You overproduce, you create a lot of material that comes inside. You have to stock it, you have to keep inventory. And I think we've been able to eliminate, by value stream mapping, how we install building components on site. The continuous aspect of striving for perfection is we follow this 4-step process. We plan the work, we carry out and do the work, we study and learn from what we've done, and then make changes and act on some of those changes that we make or put in place. And then we map the entire process to figure out where is the waste and how do we make changes to eliminate that waste to produce a better process. And then we plug in the tools, which we'll talk about it, here shortly. The last planner system involves the last planners. These are foremen. This is the project foreman, not even the project superintendent. In the US, the hierarchy who actually goes to execute the work is the project foreman, not the superintendent. And the project foremen are the one who plans the work. So this is conventionally not done this way. It's done differently, to where you've got a scheduler or a project manager that schedules the work. We flipped it, to its side, and we use the foreman to actually come in and meet to schedule the work and get their commitments. I'll skip this one. This is another section where we use a tool called Our Plan. This is a tool that we developed in-house. Our own IT team developed the tool, but we sold it later to Autodesk. It helps us to get commitments from all the subcontractors and then hold them to that commitment. I'll skip this one. Integrated project delivery. This is key. And this is where we completely skip or don't deliver a project conventionally, where you do design, you bid the project, and then you build it. We don't advocate for that. This is a project made up of 11 teams, including us, so the owner, the design team, the consultants, DPR, the subcontractors were included, and it was delivered on an IPD. IPD stands for Integrated Project Delivery. And the entire team signed one contract. It's called the IFOA contract, Integrated Form of Agreement. And that allows us to deliver the project with the owner's objectives in mind. And so it's integrated information, integrated organization. It's one entire team. We come in at the beginning of the project, not at the end once the design is complete. We influence how the design is done, how the design, and we value or put value or target the value of the project. We integrate the entire project, process, and then we have an entire team. I'm sure, hard bid scenarios are very prevalent here, right? You bid the project out and you award it to the low bidder or the lowest bidder. But is that the right behavior? I think we advocate that is not the right behavior, is that we go through an IPD, initiation, and then we put the risk and reward. And so this profit is shared, the profit is known, the owner pays for the entire cost of the project, and then if we exceed the project, our fee is at risk. In the IPD toolbox, we value stream map, we pull planning, the schedule, we use BIM, and then we target value, the design. I'll skip this, but essentially what we do, this is the budget that the owner sets, blue is the budget that the owner sets for the project. The red is the cost of the project. And so we try to bring the cost down to meet or below the owner's budget. And we use different tools to do that. TBD, the total, the target value design. We even share and communicate even what the profit on the project is. And so there's no secrets. It's an open book project, and we collaborate fully with the owner. And with our teams, we engage everybody, including the owners, the architects, consultants, and subcontractors. We co-locate and bring people into one big room. So this is a $900 million project at the hospital. And this was a big room for 150 people that manage the project. So it contains the owners, the architects, some of the consultants, us, our team. We had about 45 people, and then some of the subcontractors were in this big room as well. Just to make some of the decisions quicker, communication is faster, collaboration is better. Skip this. And so what we're after is the real value of the project. It's not at the lowest would be the true cost. It's actually the lowest true cost on the right design. And so if we help the owner make the right design, then we're able to give them the right cost for the right design. Just for fun, the low bidder is a contractor who's wondering what they left out. So when you submit bids and you get awarded a project, you worry that you were the lowest bidder because you may have missed something. The architect or the engineer's estimate is the cost of construction in heaven. They live in the world where everything is perfect, right? The project manager has got a lot of subcontractors to manage. The critical path method we use, but not a whole. We don't rely on the critical path method to manage projects. We rely on short-term interval projects, and only our milestones are, based on the critical path. So, with our integrated projects, integrated teams, and lean practices, we can prove or we can make the case for BIM. And BIM as a tool emerged early in the 90s, as some of you may know. We've adopted it back in 1998. And so we said, yes, welcome to the tool, when people said no. Like this cartoon depicts, somebody carrying a round wheel, while actually these guys are putting a lot of effort in a square wheel and saying, no, we're busy. And so BIM in this world today is that circular wheel that helps people or helps us streamline our delivery process. And like any other parts of the world, even in the US, there is a lot of resistance to BIM as well, even though it's been several years in existence. Our first model was built back in 1998 for our Portland office, and then from there the journey started. We were dabbling and only playing, we didn't have a strategy at the time. Not until 2005 is when our full implementation of BIM has been put in place. And actually, this Camino Medical Center in the Bay Area was the flagship project that allowed us to realize some of the benefits. So what do we do? What do we do today? We model what we build, and we build what we model. And this is just a screenshot of a building. I stripped out the skin, and you can see all of the utilities. And when you talk about BIM, this is what you basically, most people see this. And I'm hoping today I can show you some different examples how a general contractor leverages BIM centrally to reap some of those benefits. What we're talking about here is virtual construction, or VDC, or virtual design and construction, even though we don't do the design, but we do the construction piece of it. Construction project is unique. You don't get to practice, you don't get to, you build it wrong, you have to rip it apart and build it correct. The biggest benefit of BIM for us is allowing us to build it virtually, build it right, and then execute out in the field. And we're able to model today anything that's up to a quarter of an inch thick. So if you can think of electrical pipes, we're able to model up to electrical pipes. We go even further down to less than electrical pipe thickness. This is a game that we normally play with our teams and owners that we want to expose them. This is the conventional or traditional, you've got two-dimensional drawings with schedules and spec section, right? So imagine doors, right? So today, this is a floor plan and an elevation, and you've got some spec or the finished schedules and the door schedules, right? That's how they're delivered today. But if I ask you to describe what this is, I'm pretty sure even though there's a lot of architects in this room, you're going to have a hard time describing what this is, right? Even though you've got the specs here, different colors, different shapes, but you will, and we do this with two different groups. And if we ask, what is that object? It's like having blindfolded people describe an elephant, right? So this guy is going to describe it as a snake, or this guy is going to describe it as a fan, and anyways, and this guy may say this is like a trunk of a tree. But actually, it's this. And when you look at that object three-dimensionally, that's what it looks like. And so we divide the room into two groups, and we give the first team this spec and ask them to build the objects, and we give them the objects, and we give the second group just these two three-dimensional views, and we give them the blocks and we time them. The people with the three-dimensional blocks basically finish the project quicker. And so this is the first aspect of the BIM, which is visualization, right? And so I'm able to visually see how the building gets put together. Then I'm able to build it. And I get to practice three-dimensionally first in the virtual world, and then I go execute out in the field. That's the fundamental, if we want to just take it to the bare bones or the fundamentals of it, that's what it is. And I hope people don't make it more complicated than it is. You take the example of the traditional, conventional two-dimensional drawing. That's the door number 170 or opening 170. You look at it on the schedule. It's specified here. But just imagine I can deliver that three-dimensionally. That's the same door, in a parametric model to where the specs is actually part of the model, and I don't have to go refer to a two-dimensional drawing. So does that make sense? What is exactly, these are kind of the fundamentals, right? So it's a three-dimensional visualization that helps me visualize and put the components together. And two, it's the I in BIM, it's the information that's most critical, that's contained in the model. The more information the model contains, the more intelligent it is, and the more I can interrogate the model for really some decision making in the future. The model is a living and breathing record that I can update as the project progresses. So if the owner comes in and says, this door, I want to move this door 2 inches to the left, I will move the door 2 inches to the left, and that decision will be part of the BIM model and contain, so later you know exactly what happened and why did we move that door 2 inches to the left. How did we get here? Obviously, in my time when I was at the faculty here, we drew by hand, right? That came into CAD. Quiz to the room. What does CAD stand for? Yeah. Computer-aided design. Then CAD, which I think the most famous CAD application is AutoCAD. Then came out with the 3D CAD drawing. However, it was not intelligent enough. It was graphical representation only. It was only objects that I can draw three-dimensionally, but it had no information. It had no context. And so I could not interrogate the model for any type of information. Then came